Right, here we go again. Clutch levers, actuating shafts have been removed now, along with the brake bands. As you can see, it is important to mark up the drive flanges and the clutches, and all your plates all line up to make sure everything is correct, because there's greaseways within these plates that if they're not aligned, you can't pump grease into the bearings which are in the back here. So you're going to make sure that there's a slight cutaway in the flange there, so when you pump grease in via there, and there's a grease nipple on the other side of this, it's not in the right position to show that at the moment. So that's the latest at the moment, is the bands have been removed. The biggest problem was the clevis pin was seized up in both sides, along with a very tight pivot pin for your brake actuator, your brake levers. Both of them were pretty tight and took a bit of persuading, which they gave up in the end when they showed them some gas. As you can see, that one's been marked up now in line with the outer drive plate to the clutch, to make sure they all go back in the right order. So that's quite essential on this job. As we walk around, you can see a closer look at these are the shafts that are removed. They are held in by a bolt which comes up from underneath and is held in by a special locking device and a lock nut, so it pivots on the bottom. Those clutch sections in there actually fit into little bushes. This is obviously marked up the left and right hand side. These are the bands. You can see that should pivot, and that is absolutely solid. I reckon they've been in there quite a long time. Even though there's plenty of meat on them, they've gone really hard. Also, slightly different on a TD6 to a BDD6. The pins on these got one split pin right through the middle. You can see it there. It's right through the middle, and the pin is held in through that little split pin which goes right through. On the BDD6s, they got little pins with the clips both sides. So it's a little bit easier. I might put a BDD6 one back in. They've got plenty of spares. As you can see, I've marked everything up. You can see there's a fair bit of corrosion. They'll soon be cleaned up. Everything's quite tight. That pin there, that was extremely tight to pull out, so that required some heat. I managed to get the two back bands out in one piece, still linked together. This is where your rod goes, and your adjuster goes through from there, through that screw in there. You just adjust it, obviously pulls the bands in to reduce the clearance between the drum and the bands, so you get good brakes. The brakes themselves should be about 2 or 3 inches of free play. Obviously these are disconnected now. So the next stage now would be to prepare for the removal of the clutches themselves. As you can see, I've marked up all the bearing faces on both sides, the flange faces, so everything should come out. These clutches are held in by a row of bolts. Obviously these bolts could come out first, so a ring of them on the drive flange. This side, these top ones are bolts, and the bottom ones are nuts. So this plate comes off. Behind this plate should be another plate with a small little dog which locates into that drive shaft for the pinion, and it should hopefully have enough clearance to bring that plate back, the plate behind it back, these disconnected, so the clutch should be straightforward to lift out, even though they are very heavy. So that's it for now. I shall update on the removal of the clutches when I get time. Today's job took a little bit longer. I've been on it about 2 or 3 hours to remove these bands, but mainly due to everything seized up on them. Normally I reckon you could do it in a couple of hours if everything was free, but obviously these have not been out for at least 40 years, I would guess. I know the machine's been standing for 10, and it hasn't had the back end stripped out to this extent for a very long time because I knew the previous owner. So there we go. TD6 is starting to take shape on the strip down, and I shall make another video shortly when I tackle the removal of those steering clutches, which should be fun, and hopefully will be less trouble than everything else on it. The problem with the clutches, by the way, inside this drive plates, and some are like a plasticky material and the others are metal. You would think that they wouldn't corrode and rust together, but they do. The metal plates tend to bubble out and dig into the fibre plate, and that's the reason these are stuck, I reckon, because condensation gets in and bubbles up the metal plates. I was thinking about putting bimetallic plates in there, which are slightly more expensive, but I've been told they are far more reliable and less likely to jam up and get stuck like these pair of beasts here. So on to the next time. See you then. Goodbye.